Somewhere beyond what you can see, your name is being cleared in the unseen court of Allah. No lawyers, no witnesses, only truth. They thought you were silent because you were weak, but Allah heard every conversation you weren't in. He saw every lie you couldn't correct. He counted every tear you wiped in secret. And while they talked, He moved. While they plotted, He protected. You see, Allah doesn't defend you with noise. He defends you with timing. And when His timing arrives, even the ones who misunderstood you will testify in your favor without realizing it. Don't look away, because before this hour ends, you'll understand what it truly means. When heaven itself defends you in silence, the silent exposure, when Allah unmasks without a word. Sometimes Allah doesn't reveal the truth with storms or loud warnings. He doesn't need to. He simply begins to shift the energy around you so softly that you almost miss it. A person you once spoke to every day suddenly grows quiet. A friend who used to check on you now always seems too busy. The laughter doesn't sound the same anymore. The warmth that made your heart feel safe slowly fades away. You start wondering what changed. Did you do something wrong? Did you say something you shouldn't have? Why does everything feel different? You sit alone at night replaying old conversations. You scroll through old messages trying to find a reason. But deep inside you already know this is not confusion. This is direction. It's Allah gently showing you something you weren't ready to see before. He's pulling back the curtain quietly so you can see what your emotions kept defending. Allah doesn't always expose with words. He exposes with silence. He lets a person's true nature surface slowly, not to break your heart, but to free it from a lie. You may not realize it right away. You might even fight the feeling. You'd say, no, it's just a phase. But deep down, your soul whispers, something has changed. And that whisper, that uneasy peace, is Allah speaking directly to you. He's saying, you've seen enough. Now trust what I'm showing you. Sometimes we pray for clarity, and when Allah gives it, we mistake it for loss. We think He's taking people away, but in truth, He's protecting us from hidden harm. He saw what you couldn't. He heard the words spoken when you weren't there. He noticed the thoughts they hid behind smiles. And because He loves you, He won't let deception stay close to your heart. He doesn't want you to hate them. He just wants you to recognize the truth. Because how can you grow while you're surrounded by people who secretly root for your fall? So He ends certain connections without a fight. He makes them distance themselves without a reason. And even though it hurts, that distance is a doorway to peace. You might cry and ask, why did it end like this? But Allah knows that if He revealed everything at once, it would break you. So He removes things slowly, gently, through silence, not storm. It's His way of protecting both your heart and your dignity. Because not everyone who smiles with you is sincere with you. Not every kind word is born from a kind soul. And not every shoulder you cry on is meant to stay. Allah teaches through people, and sometimes once the lesson is complete, He removes the teacher. You see, what you call the end is often just the completion of a hidden lesson. A lesson about trust, discernment, patience, or self-worth. The person who walked away may never apologize. They may never even realize how deeply they hurt you. But Allah saw, and that's enough. You don't need an apology when the one who created hearts already knows yours. Every unanswered message, every cold reply, every distance that confused you, it was written for your awakening. Because Allah knew that if He didn't allow the silence, you'd keep investing in something that was quietly damaging you. So He drained the emotion out of the connection. He made it feel heavy, uncertain, uncomfortable. Not to punish you, but to make you let go naturally. He wanted you to choose peace over pain, truth over illusion, and Him over everyone else. When Allah loves you, He removes what pretends to love you. He removes the false so you can meet the real. And the moment you accept that silence is also a form of mercy, you start to breathe again. You stop chasing answers. you stop begging people to stay. You stop fighting for what Allah already released. That's when you realize losing people was never your punishment. It was your protection. Allah's silence is never empty. It's full of guidance. You just need to listen differently. He speaks through peace and discomfort, through distance and stillness. And if you stay close to Him, you'll notice that every quiet goodbye was actually a loud blessing in disguise. You look back one day and say, now I see why it had to happen this way. Because if He hadn't removed those people, you would still be trapped in emotional noise, missing the lessons your soul was begging to learn. Sometimes the greatest revelation comes when everyone else goes quiet. Allah closes one door to open 10 others. But in the moment, all you can see is the closed door. You cry, you question, you feel abandoned. And Allah says softly, you don't know what I just protected you from. He never exposes to humiliate. He exposes to heal. He never distances to punish. He distances to teach. And once you understand that, you stop seeing endings as rejection and start seeing them as redirection. Because when Allah unmasks someone, He's not trying to make you bitter. He's trying to make you wiser. You begin to realize that silence is not empty space. It's sacred space. It's where Allah does His most powerful work on your heart. In that silence, your heart softens, your ego melts, your patience grows, and you start to see people and yourself differently. You learn that some people come as blessings, others as lessons, and both are part of Allah's mercy. The ones who lied taught you discernment. The ones who left taught you detachment. The ones who stayed taught you gratitude. None of it was wasted. None of it was random. It was all written. Every silence, every distance, every revelation. Because Allah knew exactly how much it would take to wake your heart up to truth. So when silence visits your life, don't rush to fill it with noise. Don't beg to reopen what Allah has gently closed. Sit with it. Listen to it. Because that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you've been praying for. And slowly you'll see Allah was never silent. He was speaking all along, just in a language your heart had to learn first. The mercy hidden inside betrayal. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from a stranger. It comes from the one you trusted most, the one you prayed for, the one you would have protected with your own heart. You never expect it. You never prepare for it. Because betrayal doesn't knock, it enters quietly and breaks something inside you that words can't describe. You sit there trying to understand how someone who once called you dear could now act like you were never there. You replay every moment, every message, looking for signs you might have missed. And your heart keeps asking, why would Allah allow this? But the truth is, He didn't allow it to destroy you. He allowed it to free you. If Allah didn't let that betrayal happen, you would have stayed attached to what was slowly draining your soul. You would have kept feeding trust into a heart that was never loyal to you. You would have mistaken comfort for connection and kindness for sincerity. Sometimes Allah lets someone betray you so that you finally stop worshipping their approval. He knows how deeply you care. He knows how loyal you are. And He knows that your loyalty would have made you blind to truth. So He tears the veil Himself. He exposes intentions through action. He lets masks fall. And even though it hurts, He's saving you from a future full of hidden harm. Every betrayal feels like a stab, but each stab has a message. This was never your piece. You see, betrayal doesn't just show you who they are. It shows you where your faith stands. It shows you how much of your trust was in people and how much of it was in Allah. Because when people break you, you finally discover who can fix you. That's the mercy hidden inside the pain. Betrayal teaches you not to chase closure from those who enjoy your confusion. It teaches you not to beg for understanding from hearts that chose to misunderstand you. It teaches you to stop expecting truth from those who have made peace with pretending. And that lesson is priceless. It's a mercy only Allah could design. A painful door that opens to lasting peace. At first you'll cry, you'll think I'll never trust again. But slowly Allah begins to rebuild you. He teaches you how to love without losing yourself. He teaches you how to give without expecting return. He teaches you how to protect your peace without closing your heart. It turns your pain into perception. Your heartbreak becomes your teacher. Your silence becomes your healing. Your tears become your prayers. And before you know it, what once felt like a punishment starts to feel like purification. Because sometimes Allah lets someone betray you, not to break your heart, but to break your attachment to what was blocking your growth. You see, if everything stayed smooth, you'd never learn who truly stands beside you when the light fades. You'd never learn how powerful you are when you're left alone with Allah. So He writes pain into your story, not to end it, but to begin a deeper chapter. He removes the wrong people to prepare space for the right ones. He empties your hands so He can fill them with better gifts. He closes a door with betrayal so He can open another with purpose. That's divine mercy wearing the mask of heartbreak. When you lose someone through betrayal, you don't really lose anything. You simply return to the one who never left, because Allah never betrays. He never forgets. He never abandons. He just waits for you to realize that peace doesn't come from being loved by people. It comes from being remembered by Him. And that's why betrayal is not the end of your story. It's the moment your story starts aligning with truth. Every disappointment, every broken promise, every false friend, they were all sent as lessons, not losses. Each one taught you something your comfort never could. The person who lied taught you to listen deeper. The one who left taught you that your worth doesn't depend on who stays. The one who used you taught you to set boundaries with grace. And the one who broke you taught you how to pray like you never did before. That's the hidden mercy. You become stronger, softer, wiser, all at once. At first you want revenge. You want them to feel what you felt. But then Allah fills your heart with calm, and you realize you don't need revenge when you have release, because peace is louder than payback. And forgiveness doesn't mean weakness. It means freedom. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You let go not because they were right, but because you're done carrying what was never yours. And in that letting go, you begin to taste a new kind of happiness. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone else's honesty. One day, you look back at that betrayal and thank Allah for it, because it pushed you toward healing, toward independence, toward Him. Without that pain, you'd still be living in illusions. Without that heartbreak, you'd still be serving people who only serve themselves. But now, your heart knows better. Now, your faith is real. Now, your love has direction. Allah didn't take something from you. He took something away from you. Something that was never meant to stay. Because not every connection is meant to continue. Some are meant to correct you. Some are meant to awaken you. Some are meant to remind you of where your peace truly lives. And that peace is with Allah always. So the next time your heart breaks, you're not being punished. You're being purified. Allah is showing you what you couldn't see when you were blinded by loyalty. He's freeing you from a cage you thought was home. He's reminding you that the only love that never hurts is His. And once you learn that, you stop chasing people who walk away. You stop trying to fix what Allah has already finished. You stop begging for closure that was never yours to begin with. You begin to move with grace. You begin to heal quietly. You begin to see pain as part of your spiritual training. Every betrayal starts as heartbreak but ends as purification. It strips you of illusions until all that's left is truth. The truth that Allah's mercy is deeper than any wound. And when that truth settles in your heart, you finally smile again. not because you forgot what happened, but because you've learned what it meant. When truth arrives as stillness, not noise, sometimes truth doesn't enter your life with thunder. It doesn't arrive with people shouting, doors slamming, or endings that make sense. It arrives quietly like a breeze that passes through your soul and makes everything suddenly clear. You start noticing things you used to overlook. A tone in someone's voice, a hesitation in their smile, a heaviness in the room that used to feel light. It's not that the world has changed overnight. It's that Allah has opened your eyes. He doesn't always reveal the truth through chaos. Sometimes He whispers it into your heart in silence. He removes peace from what once felt peaceful. He lets a moment that once brought you joy now feel uneasy. That uneasiness isn't weakness, it's wisdom awakening. The truth often comes quietly because Allah knows your heart. He knows you don't need another storm. He knows you've survived enough noise. So instead, He brings you clarity wrapped in calmness. He teaches you through stillness. Because in stillness, your heart can hear what your ears have been ignoring. You start to realize that silence is not emptiness. It's information. It's guidance. It's Allah saying, pay attention to the peace that disappeared. So when the peace leaves, the truth enters. And once you feel that shift, you can't unfeel it. You can't go back to pretending you don't see. That's when your test begins. Do you hold on to what Allah is removing? Or do you surrender to what He's revealing? Sometimes you beg for signs and Allah gives them through the smallest moments. A conversation that feels off, a heart that suddenly feels drained. But because it doesn't come with thunder, you think it's nothing. Until later, when everything finally makes sense and you whisper, Ya Allah, you were showing me all along. Truth never needs to shout to be real. It simply exists, waiting for your heart to become quiet enough to notice it. When Allah wants to teach you, He often removes noise from your surroundings. He slows everything down. He gives you space to think. That space can feel lonely. You'll wonder why people are distant, why life feels paused, why nothing seems to move. But that's exactly where He shows you the truth. Not through motion, but through stillness. He wants you to see what your busy life kept hiding. He wants you to reflect, to remember Him, to understand what really matters. Stillness is sacred. It's where your soul and your Creator finally meet without interruption. And in that meeting, the truth surfaces. Not as anger, not as noise, but as a deep knowing that sits in your chest. You'll find yourself saying, I don't know why, but I just feel it. That feeling is Allah's way of confirming what your eyes can't yet see. Maybe someone's smile no longer feels honest. Maybe an opportunity feels heavy, not blessed. Maybe a path you were forcing suddenly feels closed. Don't ignore that. That's not fear. That's divine protection speaking softly. Allah rarely shouts. He guides through peace and the removal of it. When something is right, He makes it flow easily. When it's wrong, He fills it with friction, not to frustrate you, but to save you. The problem is, we often chase noise. We want clear signs, instant answers, loud confirmations. But the truth from Allah is subtle. It doesn't compete for attention, it waits for obedience. And when you finally slow down enough to listen, you begin to see how He's been speaking through everything, through timing, through delays, through silence. You realize that the unanswered prayer was an answer in disguise. The delayed plan was direction being rewritten. The ending you feared was actually a beginning you needed. And all of that understanding happens in stillness. Because the truth isn't loud, it's patient. It waits for your heart to stop arguing with reality. One day, when you sit alone, you'll recall how everything that once made noise in your life is now quiet. And that quietness doesn't scare you anymore. It feels like peace. It feels like truth. That's when you'll smile and whisper, Allah, you've been teaching me through silence all along. The truth is gentle, It arrives when your soul is tired of lies. It doesn't need to prove itself. It just shows itself. And once it arrives, everything false begins to fall away on its own. You'll notice that certain people no longer affect you. Their words don't sting like before. Their absence doesn't break you anymore. Why? Because the truth healed what illusion once held. That's Allah's mercy. He doesn't want